Hi, it's Cece from Cece Restyled, and I am going to show you how to do some basic blending with Paint Couture acrylic resin-based paints. And they're a little bit different than your typical chalky style furniture paint in the fact that they're, like I said, acrylic resin based, so they're a little bit different. They apply a little bit different, but not in a bad way. The finish is less porous feeling. It's still matte, but it's a little smoother, less gritty and chalky. It's more of a smooth, I don't want to say satin, but almost to a satin finish. So you want to apply it with different brush. Synthetic, I always use synthetic for applying paint, no matter what paint it is, always synthetic. That's how you help prevent brush strokes. And in particular, for the Paint Couture, I like to use blue ice brushes. Zebra brushes are great. There's a variety of different synthetic brushes you can get even at the hardware store that work well, but my favorite is the blue ice. For whatever reason, it's just, they go together like, you know, peanut butter and jelly. So we're gonna start by painting a base coat, okay? So this that we're painting is a little bit different than a typical thing that a typical piece of furniture we might be blending. So let's just say normally I would paint this whole thing one color, and then I would pick my colors, highlights, shadows, accent colors that I want to blend in with it and do that. But on this particular piece, this inset area is going to be its own color with its own blending, and then the outside is going to be its own color with its own blending. Does that make sense? So it's going to be a little bit different, but the actual technique is the same. So I'm not being super careful. I want to make sure I fill in my inset area here, but I'm not being super careful because after this dries and we're done painting it, I'm going to tape it off and then we'll do the outside. So you don't have to, I suppose, but I'm going to be careful and I want a nice crisp line, so I'm going to tape it off. Paint Couture is self-leveling. Okay, I know a lot of paints say they're self-leveling, but this is really self-leveling paint, okay? Notice I don't have any sort of mister bottle or anything like that. I don't need to spray it with anything to keep it wet so that the, so that the self-leveling properties will happen. It just does, okay? And as long as you don't overwork it. Any paint overworked will create brush strokes. So, oops, that might have been a little bit much there. All right, so let's go ahead and let this first coat dry, and then we will do our blending on the second coat, okay? So again, I just want to reiterate, this is the first coat. Do you see that coverage? That coverage is amazing. Like, I don't have to do a second coat, okay? Like, I probably could get away with one. I'm a 2-coat kind of gal when it comes to my paint, but look at that. That's 1 coat and the coverage is impeccable. I mean, it's perfect. Oh, there's a little spot where I got my bristles, but whoop, check it out. That's 1 coat, okay? 1 smooth, beautiful, covered, amazing coverage coat. It's a little reflective, obviously, because it's wet, but it's amazing. The coverage is just to die for. Can you see it? Okay, so we're gonna let that dry, and then we will go and we will work on our second coat, which is the coat which we will blend in some shadows, okay? So this is just basic blending, starting with the color and blending in some shadows and or highlights. Easy peasy, beginner type blending. So hopefully you can figure it out if you're having trouble, or if you've never blended, Paint Couture before. Hopefully this will help. So we're gonna let that dry, okay? Okay, so our little inset area is dry now. And again, I want to reiterate that this is 1 coat, 1 fantastic, beautiful, coverage 100 on point, top of the game coat. Look at that. It's opaque all day long. I just can't get over it. I can't get over it. Anyway, so this color is called Notorious BLU from my Remix collection. Some colors that I put together for a special line by Paint Couture. So same great Paint Couture paints, but special colors picked by moi because, you know, we like colors. All right, so we're gonna move on to the second coat now. That's when the fun starts because we're gonna blend it blend. There is our Notorious BLU, okay? And of course we've got our, we're gonna use the same brush. And then for the color we're gonna blend in, so depending on whether you're blending in highlights or shadows or both will determine the color that you blend in with it. So we're gonna do shadows in the corners here, called a vignette. So it's when you shadow in the corners and kind of frame in an area. So we're gonna vignette, and for that we will want a darker color, because usually shadows are darker, right? And highlights are lighter. So sometimes I'll pick a little bit lighter of a color and I'll go right through the center, and we'll do that on another video, but for this one we're just gonna do some basic shadowing, basic shading, blending goodness, okay? Keep it easy. All right, so for that, I'm gonna choose you can choose like a darker blue or a gray or even black if you are feeling froggy. The easiest colors to blend are two that are in the same kind of family. So I would pick like a navy blue or a darker of this bright blue to shade in the shadows. I actually chose, I'm just gonna do a gray, okay? So gray will work. Black will work. You just want to be very easy on the black. And yeah, anything darker really that's in the same kind of family. So any blues, grays, black. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open that. And I'm just going to use a slightly smaller brush, okay? Because we want to get in those little corners. Corners. And we want to grab a shop towel to wipe the excess paint off our brush. So I'm going to grab a shop towel real quick. And basically on our second coat, you know, you can blend on your first coat. Sometimes I do, usually I don't, but sometimes I do. It doesn't really make a huge difference unless you're blending colors that are very drastically different. Then I blend first coat and second coat, you know, to add to that depth. And in case any of it shows through, then it's not, you know, looking funky. But when they're this similar, I just blend on the second coat. Does that make sense? Close colors, you know, blend on the second coat. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with my second coat. I'm just gonna paint it on just like I did my first coat. And when you're blending, you wanna work in small sections at a time. So this size section that I'm working on right now, you really don't wanna work in much bigger of an area at once, unless you get really comfortable with it and you are okay with how quick you can blend and all that, because you don't want the paint to dry up on you, okay? Paint drying up on you is not your friend when you're blending, okay? Not your friend. So with other types of paints, you can mist with water, okay? Or squirt or mist, whatever, to get water on there to keep your paint wet. You don't want to spray Paint Couture with water or mist it with water, none of that. If you need longer open time, you can add some extender to the paint, or you can even spray it on, or get you some Floetrol and add it into your paint before you start this process. So if it starts to dry up on you, if you're talking too much like I am, then you just, you know, spray it on, or it's already mixed in your paint, so you're good to go. But I'm just gonna keep moving instead of more talking, okay? Go. So that's good. All right, so now that we've got our second coat on, we are going to just take our gray, which is shale stone. Just want to get a little bit on my brush, okay? I'm using a smaller brush, like I said. Just get a little bit on there. See, not much. And I'm just going to go ahead and start in the middle, and I'm going to make like a triangle, okay? Basically a triangle. For all intents and purposes, just like this. Okay? And got my triangle happening. Okay, now I'm gonna wipe the excess paint off my brush. because otherwise it'll just muddy it up a little bit. It'll muddy it up. You don't want your, you know, your blend all muddied up, or your brush to push around, you know, colors that are basically mud because they mix together too much. So see how I started with my my triangle, okay, and then I just slowly started blending the color back out into the background, okay? So just gentle strokes. You can kind of do this way. You can bring it out as far as you want it, but you don't have to work super fast, okay? Sometimes I get in the habit of working fast for live tutorials, which, you know, you only have so long because people's attention span, you know? But there you go. Okay, so that is, can you see the shading happening? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So when that dries, it's going to darken up quite a bit. So it's going to look darker than it does now, or more prominent than it does now. So I can choose to do every corner if I want, or I can choose to do opposite corners. Let's start with opposite corners and see how that looks, okay? So we'll start with our little triangle, okay? Little triangle. And then we'll kind of bring it out as far as we want it, this way and that way, okay? Then we'll just kind of brush it right into the background with some gentle strokes. I'm gonna wipe my excess paint off my brush. We don't wanna push around muddy paint, no muddy paint here. Okay, so we're just gonna gently brush that into the background with some gentle strokes until all of our harsh brush strokes are gone, no streaks, everything's nice and faded, you know, nice little fadey blend. Okay, so that is 2 corners. Like I said, it'll dry a little bit darker, as you'll see in just a moment. But I usually do 4 corners. Nothing wrong with that. Let's just do 4 corners. Why not? Okay. It doesn't have to be symmetrical or anything like that. There's no really rules. You know, I kind of like to think of shading and highlighting with while blending. I like to think of it as a surface that a light source is shining down on or at or whatever. And so I think about where my light source would be coming from, okay? So let's just say it's coming from, you know, right here, and it's pointing at this piece. The lightest part's going to be in the middle, and then as you know, get towards the edge, that's where you're going to have your shadows, right? Because your light source is here, pointing at it. Whereas if, let's say our light source is shining down on it, like a spotlight, okay? Like on artwork or something. That means you're going to have the lightest part up here, and you're going to have more of a shadow down here, right? So let's see what that would look like. If we have a light source shining from down onto the piece, we're going to have a bigger shadow at the bottom. So what does that mean? It means we start out with a bigger triangle in the corner, okay? Bigger triangle, like that. Okay, bigger triangle, and then we just blend it right on in. Same process, just bigger, okay? Bigger equals more, okay? All right, so, and I'm not worrying about these edge parts. I'm gonna tape those off and paint those separately. So let's go ahead and make this side match, okay? We got our triangle. Triangle, all right, and that's about how big we want to take it. And then we'll just kind of brush those right back in there. And I can feel my paint starting to dry up on me, so it's probably a good timing. It's a good thing we're about to be done with this little blend, because it's, you know, you only have so long while the paint is open, you know, and workable, well, wet basically. And then once it starts to dry up, that's when you start to get brush strokes. So I think we're right at the tail end of that lifespan there. And that is our shading. Blendy blend, shady shade. And I will show you again, once that dries, I'll show you what it looks like when it's darkened up and no more reflective wet paint. It'll look not much different, but darker, more prominent. So we're gonna go ahead and do the other side, same way. And then I will show you that all dry, okay? So it's all dry, our inset area is all dry, and I've gone ahead and I've taped it off. If you have prepped properly, as in cleaned well, sanded, primed if necessary, then your tape should not pull up your paint. I get a lot of people ask that, and the answer is if you've prepped well, it will not pull up your paint. So get this little area here, and then we're going to go ahead and start painting the outside, which, as you can see, I've got a first coat here. We'll go ahead and do the first coat on this side, and then we will move around to the front where we will do the shading on the second coat. So we're kind of working in sections, little areas. That's okay, as long as I know what section I'm on and what area I'm on. That's what matters, right? As long as you're organized. So this color is called Bohemian Rhapsody. It's part of my remix collection colors that I put together especially for Paint Couture. So there's 6 colors in a pearl metallic, which is really, really pretty. It's called Pearl Jammin', and it's this iridescent, pearlescent, bluish purple, depending on how you look at it, in a light bluish purple, blurple, if you will. So we're gonna go ahead and, let's just go ahead and do our first coat here. And again, to be honest, like, oh God, really? Did I just do that? Sometimes I get a little slappy, especially when I'm trying to hurry on videos. It's true. But we'll go ahead and wipe that up and fix that. Okay, so let's wipe that up and then, oh gosh. Maybe touch that up after we're all done here and pull the tape up. Maybe not, because we're putting transfer all over that. This is going to be a patchwork kind of look to this piece. That's why the inside area is such a drastic color from this outside Bohemian Rhapsody. Is this kind of cornflower blue, periwinkle type color. Such a drastic difference. I'm going for like a quilted kind of look, you know? So quilts use lots of different patterns, colors, you know, all of that. And somehow when you sew them all together, they work, right? So that's kind of what our basis is here for this piece. So as long as I can be careful and not screw up too much and drip too much more paint, we'll be good, right? Okay. But the coverage is just phenomenal, right? This coverage is amazing, you see it? They do not skimp on the old pigments at Paint Couture, do they? They don't. They do not skimp on those pigments. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish out this side with the coat number 1. And then we will, like I said, move along to coat number 2 on the front. Blendy blend in. So now that we've got our first coat done all over, we can actually start. Let's start. I guess we can start in the front here. I do want to show you quickly, if I can, the top. So I was able to blend the top. It's still wet, as you can see. Oh gosh, not all the way there. See the 2 opposing corners that are shadowed there? So that's how subtly I did the top. So I think I'm gonna stick with, I don't know. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes, shall we? Shall we? All right, so I'm just gonna start, have at it right here and through the middle. I'm gonna start right in the middle, work my way out. You don't have to even start on this side and go that way, whatever. work my way out and second coat. And remember, you can blend on the first coat if you want. These colors are so subtle that I did not. And then I'm actually going to take my brush that I was using for the gray. And here up top where I blended some gray in, you can kind of see it a little bit. See that? Oh, gosh. Oops. So it is needing to be blended back in because I hit it with my Bohemian Rhapsody, so I need to just blend that in gently. There we go, boom. No problemo. So let's go ahead and move down this way. That's better. Okay, make sure I got all my spots, make sure I didn't miss anywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and start coming down here. Okay, and just come all the way down this pillar here. Make sure you get down in your details. Get them deets, get them deets. And let's go ahead and, as we're coming down this way, I'm gonna pause right here real quick, okay? Pause right here. And then I'm gonna take my gray, which is the shell stone. It's kind of like got a little bit of a greenish tint to it, greenish tint gray. And I'm gonna do just a little bit of shading right here under this lip, right here under this lip of the top of the table. So I'm just kind of almost dry brushing on this darker color. Okay, and then kind of like tapering it down, okay? Like a funnel, taper it down. But I also want to make sure that it's blending in on my top too, so be mindful of what else you have going on here. Okay, so we're just gonna go blend this in, boom, 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 boom. Wipe off our brush so we're not muddying it up. Make sure we get this up here. So it's all nice and blended still. Looking good, looking good. Okay. All right, so now we just gotta blend out these edges a little bit. See how easy you just kind of feather it out with your brush, okay? As long as your brush isn't soaked with paint and you're wiping off that excess, you just feather it out. Feather it out, feather it out. You know, like 80s hair, feather it out. Boom, okay, and that is our shading on our front. Shading on our front, super easy, right? How's that for a little bit of just shadowing in, just a bit of interest, some depth, some movement, all of the above. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and come over here a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and let's work our way, oh shucks. Let's just stick to the front for now, okay? Stick it to the front. And let's go ahead and come down here. Okay, let's go across this little crossbar here and get him his second coat. And I think we'll leave this just like this. I don't think I'm gonna do any shading on this little area in the center here. This paint is so creamy and so smooth. It's like yogurt. It's so creamy and smooth. It's amazing. So, all right, down here's gonna be the fun part. All right, these little deets here. That'll be the fun part for some shading, some blendy blend. Let's go ahead and work our way down. Finish working our way down. Right on down the line. I'm getting paint all over my elbow somehow. I'm a messy painter. I just know it. I get paint everywhere. I know you know what I'm talking about, most of you, so don't pretend like you're not a messy painter, okay? I see you. I see you. All right, so let's go ahead and get this little guy here. And on this particular piece, I'm going inside of the drawer wells because the way the drawers are situated, they will show just a little bit inside that. So I don't want wood showing, so I want to make sure I finish out at least an inch or so inside there, depending on your drawers, but an inch or so on these is plenty. All right, so now we're going to do our second coat down here. When I am painting details, it's really mostly about the pouncing, okay? You gotta kind of really pounce to get all in there. You don't want to miss any spots. Then later, when you're going to seal it or you're all done, you look at it and you see the missed spots, you're like, dang it, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back over that. Shoot. So that's a bummer. So let's just try to nip those in the bud from the start and get all of our bases covered. Bases, not faces, okay? Bases covered as I fling paint at my face. Okay, so it helps if you look at it from all angles, so side to side, up, down, because you will always miss a spot if you don't look at it from all the angles. Always, 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 no matter how hard you try, you will miss a spot. See, miss a spot. It's all about the pouncing, baby. All about the pouncing on the details. I'm telling you what, you gotta pounce like a cougar. See, more spots in this. More spots. See, as perfect as you think you are, you're not. You miss spots. It's just truth. Okay, pounce, 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 pounce. Okay, get down in there and those little orifices there. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and then we'll just finish out this little front piece. Okay. Look at it all from all the angles. Make sure we didn't miss no spots. We didn't miss no spots, miss no spots, miss no spots. All right, here's one spot. Okay, we good. So now we're gonna do our shading with our shale stone. Okay, so we got our shale stone gray, and we is gonna, while this is still wet, we got our little blendy brush, and let's see if we can get a better little angle here, which would have been awesome if I would have done this before I put my wet paint on, but it's all good. If it dries up, we'll just touch her up, won't we? There we go. Is that better? Is that better? Yes, no, maybe so. Well, we're gonna have to roll with it, so there you go. That's the best we're gonna get right now. All right, so we're gonna just dip our brush in a little bit, kind of like the dry brushing we talked about, you know, dip it in the paint and get the excess off on the edge of the jar or on a napkin or towel or shop towel or whatever, not on your brush. And then I'm gonna like, I don't know, let's just do some little shading guys here maybe. maybe here, a little triangle, guys, okay? See what I'm doing? And make sure you try to get in those details too. It would look awfully strange if you didn't shadow in the details, because that's usually where details, or where shadows live, right? In little crevices and holes and carvings and details and recessed areas, right? So we're just kind of blending that gently back into the background, just like that. And I think that this shape has gotten a little bit carried away from how I originally intended it. So I'm just going to grab my Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm just going to dial it back a little bit right here. Remember how I usually start with that triangle? I'm going to just dial it back to where it's more of a triangle like that, see? Boom. That is so freaking easy, isn't it? It's actually pretty satisfying, you know? It's once you get the hang of it, it's just very soothing of a process. Soothing. Okay, and we'll just blend that out a little bit better. Nice and gentle. Gently, gently, gently. And boom. Boom, shake the room. Now we're going to come back over on this side and do a similar type deal, except I'm going to have to probably touch it up with a little more blue paint because I've been talking and blending and it's drying up on me. Okay, and we don't mess with water, remember? Not going to be your friend with the paint Couture. So we're just going to lightly touch it back up with a little bit more paint to get it wet again. Easy, easy peasy. Again, we're gonna grab a little bit of our, oops, see, I'm gonna sit here and perfect this too. Are you a perfectionist? I'm like the laziest perfectionist I know, it's crazy. I like to perfect things, but I also like to get things done efficiently. It's kind of a really weird problem to have, right? All right, so let's do like we did on the other side, or at least intended to. We're gonna make our little triangle. Okay, triangle, triangle. And boom. Got our little triangle, make a triangle, and we're just gonna blend it into the background, okay? Blend it right on in. Wipe our brush off just a little bit. Tell me to stop perfectionisting that corner over there. Okay, so we're gonna go back over here and just kind of add a little bit more of our Bohemian to kind of make that shadowy shape, that triangle, a little more apparent. Control it, manipulate it to look how we want it to. Okay, grab our gray again and just kind of blend it right back on into the background, into the Bohemian. All right, so that's good. That is good on our corners. So I'm actually gonna take my shale stone, my gray, and I'm gonna create some shadows kind of like around here, okay? Just following the shape of this little guy here, okay? And I'm just going to gently, how about let's go around down here too. Yeah, buddy. All right, so now, excuse me, I'm just gonna blend that gray right back into the Bohemian. Just blend it right back on in. Very gentle. You don't have to get crazy. As long as your paint's wet enough that you can blend it in, you're good to go. Blending on details seems a little scary, right? But it's actually super easy. You know, just kind of gently blend it right on in. And then I see some spots where I could have, you know, it could be blended a little bit better, but it's starting to dry up. So I'm gonna just take my Bohemian and go back in over those spots. And just kind of touch them up till they are blended to my liking. Boom. Yes, I use my fingers sometime. Nature's paintbrushes they are. Am I right? Am I right? Okay, so. Oh, I hear motorcycles outside. Can you hear that? It's like the dead of winter right now. People are out on motorcycles. Okay. Dead of winter in the Midwest, I should say. Okay, so once you're done kind of perfectionisting, or whatever you want to call it, then we shall move on, okay? So, here we go. That's basically the gist of how we are blending the whole thing. Subtle, yet effective. See that? Subtle, yet effective. She's gonna be so cute. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the sides, and then we'll let it dry, and that be it. That is our basics to blending with Paint Couture.